So let's start by thinking about the sounds of English. Maybe this is one of the reasons why lots of students find English pronunciation so scary, because there's a lot of sounds to get and to get right, perhaps. First, we've got lots of vowel sounds. And you might find that your language has fewer vowel sounds than English. In total, we have 19 vowel sounds in English. It can be a bit of a scary idea. Then the consonant sounds, here they are. The consonant sounds, we have 25 different consonants. Probably you have a lot or all of these in your language, but there are some things that are different and some combinations of sounds that maybe might be difficult. Let's start today by thinking about what different sounds we have and how we make them. For me, it's important to remember that pronunciation is a physical thing. It's all about what happens in your mouth. And we've got different parts of the mouth here. So maybe in the chat box, what different parts of the mouth do you think are important when we are thinking about pronunciation? So Sarah immediately says lips. Yeah, correct. The tongue, super important. What else? Yeah, lips, the tongue. So the lips are here. Yeah, we've got the tongue. What else could be important? Christina, yes, that's right. The teeth are important. The Adam's apple, yeah, the Adam apple, the your voice box here. We'll be exploring that later. Your throat, yep. And the thing is that your tongue, yes, your throat, and your tongue here is going to move through. We do need our lung to produce air and bring air up through, and then air will come through here and it comes through the mouth. And what happens is our tongue, right? Our tongue is going to move into different places to stop the air and to make sounds. So just move your tongue around the different parts of your mouth. So we've got the lips. The lips are important, and your tongue can be behind the teeth here, or perhaps your tongue is going to be touching here, just above your teeth. Maybe your tongue is going to touch here, or maybe the back of your tongue comes to this part, right? Yeah, it's all about exactly, Amel. This is all about articulation, how we use the mouth to make sounds. So let's think about this in a little bit more practical terms. Here are the vowels in English. I'm going to make all the vowel sounds for you one time, and I'm going to trust you. The second time, we're going to do it together. I want you to try and say the sounds with me. We're going to start up here at this one. The pictures give you an idea of an example word that has this vowel sound. So we've got E, A, I, R, ow, or, O, oi, oo. These vowels on the outside, we often call these vowels long vowels. We can contrast it with the vowels in the second line, which are short vowels. So we've got I, E, A, O, A, U. Let's try this again. I want you, the tongue, ashik, yeah, the tongue is this here. That's the tongue, and it will move around the mouth to create different sounds. For the moment, making the vowel sounds, it's all about the shape of your mouth, the shape of your lips. Let's make the sounds together. E, E. Look how my lips are spread. E, A, air, air. Notice as well, as I move down these vowels, my mouth gets more open. Yeah? E, A, air. Now on to this one. I, R, ow, ow, or, yes, it is ashik. O, that's a hard one to get right. R, oi, oo. And the short ones, I, E, A. Look how your mouth is quite relaxed. I, E, A, O, O. These middle ones can be hard, but we're going to come back to looking at the vowels in a few moments. There is another sound here, but for now, we're not going to talk about that. This will be more important in the next masterclass. Next, we have the consonant sounds. The consonant sounds, we're going to use a combination of our tongue and different parts of our mouth. Yeah, so Ashik, this is not the alphabet, okay? This is not the alphabet of English. So we don't use these letters or these symbols to write words. These are phonetic symbols. So we use these symbols to show the different sounds of English. So these are the symbols for the vowel sounds, and these are the symbols for the consonant sounds. Now, we've got different sounds, different groups of sounds here. These ones are all about stopping and releasing air. What do you mean, Ben? I'm going to show you. I need you to find some paper. Right? So, do you have your piece of paper? Yes. Okay. Yes, perfect. So, we are going to make these sounds here and here. There's a difference between the sounds. So we're looking at P, B, T, D, K, G. Okay. You're going to put the paper in front of your mouth. Okay. And you're going to go. So, pa, pa, ba, ba. Yes, Mohammed, it is producing air. So these are, we call them plosives. It's about an explosion of air. You stop it, the air, with your lips, and you release. Pa, pa. Next one's t, d, t, d. There's a difference. And finally, k, g, k, g. So, yeah, these are about producing air. But can you tell anyone what's the difference between A and B? Any ideas? Write in the chat. Sarah's got an idea. Yeah. Vibrant, no vibrant. Yeah, that's interesting, Anna. Yeah, so you're right, Mohammed. The p and the b, it's produced with your lips together like this. P, b. Yeah. And the t and the d, the tongue is about here. And then the k and the j, the tongue is about here. Yes, so we've got A and B, voiced and voiceless, right? I'll type that in the chat for you. So A is voiceless and B is voiced. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's all about what's happening in this part, in the voice box, right? So we can see better if we go with these two consonants here. So we are going to make, first of all, the f sound, and continuously. So we're going to go f, and then we're going to add a v sound. So we're going to go f, You take two fingers, put them on your Adam's apple, put them on your voice box. Feel the difference. Can you feel the difference? So that's the difference between a voiceless sound and a voiced sound. Yeah, it is. It's like a string vibration, isn't it? It is. In class, when I do this with little children, I get them to put their fingers in their ears. Shall we do it? It's quite fun. Let's do these two here. So s and z. So we're going to go s. You think you need to do this with me. Okay, come on. S. You can really feel the vibration. I need to clean my hands. So we've got s and z. Then these, sh, and with the voice, sh, and then ch and j. These sounds here, L, R, and H, hat. You need to be careful with this one because lots of languages, they don't produce this sound. They do something more like this, which sounds like right? You need to be careful in English. It's hat, not hat. Right? Hat. Hat. And we have w, y, and this one is called a glottal stop. It's like if you look at this word, in some accents in English, the T, you don't say it. So maybe in a London accent, you might hear people say bottle, bottle, instead of bottle. But that's not something that you really need to worry about saying. So now let's look at what sounds are important in English. So I've got a question for you. When we think about what sounds are important, we need to think about, that's right, actually, we need to think about where are you going to use your English? Or actually, we can change this word and we could say, how are you going to use your English? Or with whom are you going to use your English? So there are really two scenarios that we can think about. The first one is maybe in an English exam, right? In a time when you're being marked on how correct your English is. Or and think about with other people. So before we think about who these people are, just write in the chat, where are you going to use your English? Is it in an exam or with other people? I'll tell you in a moment, Sarah. Let's just think about, is it an exam or other people? Right? Ashik says other people. Sarah, yeah, with other people. With other people, Mohammed, I think generally, yeah. So Sarah asked, why is this important? Okay, Anna, that's interesting. So Anna, you need to pay attention to this, okay? Now, in an exam, for example, if you do a Cambridge exam or a Trinity or an IELTS, you get marks for different things. Normally, it's about sounds. Oh, make that a bit bigger. So you get sounds, stress, intonation, and that's really it. Okay, in a Cambridge exam, you get marks for sounds, stress, and intonation. And it has to be generally correct. Okay? Not make mistakes. But typically, when people who have learnt English speak English to other people, it's normally to people who learnt English like you, okay? So you are much more likely to have to speak English to other non-native speakers. I don't like the word native, but it's an easy term. it's much more likely that you'll speak English to each other than it is that you'd speak English to someone like me. And that means that we need to think about something called English as a lingua franca. So it's like English as a common language. And so, Sarah, to answer your question, if you're using English with other people, you don't need to worry so much about, Aris can answer that question, Mohammed. You don't need to worry so much about making all of the sounds correct, because it's more about communicating with other people. So let's think about this. Let's think about first the consonant sounds. I can tell you right away that if you're talking to other people, there are 3 sounds you don't need to worry about. So we get rid of this one, which is like think. We get rid of this one, which means there. So we don't need to worry about those because lots of languages don't have those consonants. You also don't need to worry about the glottal stop because it's not something that you will need to say. It's not part of normal words, okay? Normal pronunciation. And then we're left with sounds that more or less you have in your own language. So consonant sounds aren't really a problem, except look at these 7 words. I'm going to ask you 2 questions about these words, okay? Write your answers in the chat box. So question 1, are these difficult for you to say? And 2, what might be difficult for people? Okay. Why might these words be difficult? Just have a look and write in the chat. Are they difficult for you to say? And what might be difficult for some people? Okay. That's interesting, Mohammed. Okay. Okay, that's very good. I'm glad they're not difficult. Okay, maybe some are difficult, like, yeah, okay. Now, one more question. Why might these words be difficult to pronounce or spell? Why might they be difficult to pronounce? Okay, what is it about the mother tongue, Ashik? As you're close, it is about a difference between English and your own language. Right, Christina, yeah. So in your language, you don't have th. Yeah. So, Christina, you don't put T and H together. Maybe, yeah, maybe Mohammed, you're right. People are confused with sh and ch. Sarah, perfect. I love that. There's too many consonants. We call words like this, they have things called consonant clusters. And that just means that we've got lots of consonant sounds together, right? So that can be difficult for people to say, because often in your language, you don't put so many consonant sounds together. So this first one, matchbox, matchbox. I want you to think about your mouth as you say it. Think about how your mouth moves and how your tongue changes position. Matchbox. Slow it right down. Matchbox. This can be helpful if there's a word that you find hard to pronounce. Slow it down and focus on where your tongue needs to go. Think about the physical aspect of the sound. This one, strength, strength. Yeah. Scratch, scratch. This, I have to say, I'm going to put my hand up for this one. Yeah. There's, this is a word that's difficult for me to say. So you have to go, let's write the sounds. We've got s, I, then k. So we've got to go sixth, sixth, sixth. It's difficult. Then this one, yeah, it does. It sounds like sick. And Sarah, that's one of the things that makes clusters difficult for people and why it's important to try to get them right, because you could say sick instead of sixth. And so the mistake can change the meaning, right? Sixth. Here, splash, splash. One thing you can do, if there is a group of letters that you find hard to pronounce, just isolate them and say them many, many, many times. So let's try it. Sp, 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 sp. Yeah. Sp. Yeah. So S and Z is difficult, right? So think about, Sarah, isolating those sounds. Can you give me an example, Sarah, of a word that is difficult for you? Okay, splash, splash, splash. So think about, with that, the first phoneme, the first sound is, oh, that's a good one, Ashik. I'll come to that in a second. Okay, the first one, Sarah, is s, it's voiceless. So put your finger here and s, you feel nothing, right? So splash, splash. The only time your Adam's apple moves is for the a, yeah? S, just say sh, sh, splash. Okay. Now, Ashik, we've got statistics. Statistics. Okay, Sarah, give me a second on that. I will get back to you. I have an answer for that. Statistics, sticks. So I think, Ashik, you want to repeat the end of the word and just say stick, 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 stick. statistics. Okay. We've got extract, extract, or extract, and glimpse, glimpse, glimpse. Okay. So, Sarah, let's think about this word and this word and this word. Okay. So, Sarah, here in the first one, the S sounds like a Z, right? So, yeah, you've got vowel, consonant, vowel. Vowel, consonant, vowel. And here it sounds like a Z. But when you've got the S at the start of the word or at the end of the word, it's a phoneme. It's a S. Okay. Let's practice with building up consonant clusters a little bit. I've got an exercise here I've taken from a writer who is brilliant at pronunciation exercises. And we're going to build up the consonant cluster. So I'll do it first, and then the second time you can do it with me. So we go A, K, K, ache, ache, aches, aches, takes, takes, stakes, stakes, stake, stake, stay, stay, say, A. Okay, with me now. A, K, ache, ache, aches, aches, takes, takes, stakes, stakes, stake, stake, stay, stay, say, A. Okay, let's do one more. Air. This is quite a hard vowel sound for some people. Air. Where. Swear, swears, squares, square, scare, care, rare, air. Okay, with me. Air, where, swear, swears, square, square, scare, care, rare, air. Okay. Yeah. Vowels are hard. They are hard. You're right, Sarah. So let's look at them, because actually, when you are speaking to other people, right? If we think about the idea that you're going to speak English to other people who learned English, getting the right vowel isn't that important. You don't need to worry about making the exact vowel. Actually, many different English speakers with different accents will say the vowels in different ways. So getting the correct sound and getting it exactly right isn't important. What is important is the difference between the long vowels here and the short vowels here. We can jump between them to see the difference. So look at my mouth when I do this. E, I. E, I. A, E. A, E. A, A. A, A. O, O. O, O. E, E. U, U. Ooh, oh. Maybe you want to think that the long vowels are more, not very easy to see, is it? The long vowels are more stressed, or there's more work going on in your mouth. E, oo, or, ah. And the short vowels are more relaxed. I, E, A, O, O. Right? Now let's have a think. One more exercise. Is this word with a short vowel or a long vowel? Good, thank you, Sarah. It's a short vowel. Now, I've just seen the time. Aris, I have about 15 minutes. Shall I continue?
Yes, please.
Perfect. Okay, so this is a short vowel. We are starting at A. We're starting here, and we need to finish at B. So, what's the next short vowel? Right, we're going with short sounds. What do you think it is? Write in the chat. Ashik says, shall I say them for you? We've got cope, bat. O, A. Yeah, so Ashik is right. We go to bat. What's next? So bait, A. What's next? Good. Okay. Then, yeah, tap. After tap, you've got a couple of options. Wet. Let's go to wet. Then Tim. We'll go to long way or short way. Let's go the long way. Let's go Tim. Then tub. Good. Well done, Amel. Dud. Not dude. Then cot. Slip. Cot again. Scrap. Now, scrape, team, plan. Yep, plan. Okay, hop or tea? Hop. Good, thank you, Christina. Yeah, cram, mit, bits. No, hate. Hate, it's a long one. A. Yeah, and then lit and ticks. And we're out. Okay, so I hope that that has shown you that I know the vowels are hard to get right, but that You just need to be able to say the difference between the long and the short. Getting them correct isn't such a big problem. Now, Anna, you said maybe you're using English and in an exam. Unfortunately, in the exam context, the vowel sounds are important. In a normal everyday conversation, you don't need to worry. Okay. Okay, now let's look at some myths of English pronunciation. We're coming to the end of our session, and I want you to think about some things that students often believe about pronunciation. I'm going to show you some sentences. Decide if the sentence is true or false. Here's the first one. So in the chat, is this one true or false? Yeah, you're right. Yes. So this one, let's say it's not important for students to learn the sounds of English. Okay. Right, let's keep going. The best variety of English comes from the BBC in London. What do we think about this? The best variety of English comes from the BBC in London. Again, yes, of course, this is false. Lots of people believe this. And I have seen some YouTube videos saying that this is true, but it isn't. The truth is, there is no best version of English. Right? It doesn't matter where the English comes from. If people are speaking it, it is correct. Okay. And about number 3. Students should learn how to change their accent to make it sound more English. That's interesting, Sarah. Okay, if they want to. It's interesting. But should is too much. Yeah. Okay, let's bring in some modal verbs. If they need to pass an exam, how can we change should to make this optional? Not necessarily, may. I'm going to say students don't have to learn how to change their accent. I feel very strongly about this. I remember years ago, I asked a class of C2 learners. No, actually, I don't think it is ought to, I'm afraid. I think it's, they shouldn't. Some people want to, and if they really want to, that's their choice. But I remember a class of C2 students, so really high-level students, and I asked them to write about their strengths and weaknesses in their English. And this one boy, 16, 17 years old, he just wrote, "My accent is horrible." And I felt so sad for him that he believes that. Your accent is a really strong part of your personality, right? When I speak Spanish, I speak Spanish with a bit of my English accent, and that's because it's part of who I am. You can speak English with your own accent, and it's perfectly correct. Okay, what about this? People will think you don't speak proper English if you make pronunciation mistakes? This is an interesting one. Often when we're learning a language, we think, oh, I don't want to make a mistake. I'm going to sound silly. What do you think? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. It's interesting, Sarah. Anyone else? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So where I'm going, that's what I think. So I think a few people might, let's say, a few people might think you don't speak proper English if you make pronunciation mistakes, but it doesn't matter. It's not important. Try and correct this. Pronunciation mistakes, as long as it doesn't affect communication. Yeah, but it doesn't matter, okay? If you're speaking English and you can communicate, it doesn't matter. Okay, and what about this one? Pronunciation is the hardest thing to learn in a new language. Okay. In English, yes, Sarah says. The funnest. Yeah, that's a correct answer. Thank you, Amal. Amel. I want to say pronunciation doesn't have to be the hardest thing to learn in a new language, okay? Yeah, you might be right, Christina, and idiomatic expressions and things. Okay, so let's draw to a close. Let's see what you can remember from today's session. There's no question about rapping in here, okay? Okay, how many vowel and consonant sounds are there in English? Can you remember? Put your hand up to speak if you want to. No, no takers? No. So there are, yeah, very good, Christina. Points to Christina. 25 consonants and 19 vowels. Okay, points to Christina and Amael. Thank you. Right. Next question. Okay, what's the most important part of your mouth for pronunciation? What do you think? Yes, Amel, another point for you. You're on fire. It's the tongue. The tongue is used for almost every sound, even kind of in the vowel sounds. Well, for vowels, the tongue does sort of move and it does affect the shape of the mouth. Like E, your tongue is high. E, I, your tongue is short. Okay. What about this one? Okay. What's the difference between a voiced and a voiceless sound? Right. Yeah. So things like p and b. So it's your voice box. Yeah. And if your voice box is vibrating or not. Good. Okay, next. What's a consonant cluster? Yes, Sarah. Too many consonants. Yes, it's when you have a collection of consonant sounds together. Yeah. Okay, 2 more. What's the difference between long and short vowels? Yes, Christina, exactly. Stressed and relaxed. Perfect. Yeah. Opening the mouth. Yes. Okay. And number 6. Is it okay if you speak English with your own accent? Definitely. 100%.